morning. So let's talk about June 6th. 1944, nearly 80 years ago. More than 195,000 Allied forces land on the beaches of Normandy, France. The invasion, which was nicknamed Operation Overlord, included ships and planes and, of course, the ground forces.
More than 10,000 troops were killed that day. 269 men from North Carolina were among those casualties. By June 30th, over 850,000 men landed in Normandy. 16.4 million Americans served during World War II. Fewer than 1% are still with us. According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, 131 of those men die each day.
As of 2023, there were just over 119,000 veterans still living. About 3,500 of them in North Carolina from that time and 1,500 in South Carolina. Now, Jim Deal is one of those men. He grew up in Rowan County, and just a few days after the D-Day invasion, he was standing on the beach in Normandy.
Now, he's 101 years old, and he shared his story with our Brian Stevenson.
We knew what we was going into, but right on the other hand, we had to do what had to be done.
The memories seem just as fresh today as they were when then 18-year-old Jim Deal was drafted into the Army and left his hometown of Woodleaf.
We trained as a tank battalion for 1 solid year at Fort Lewis, Washington.
Trained, he was put on a ship, heading for war.
It took us 12 days to get to England.
Once in England, they waited.
On D-Day morning, we stood outside and watched our B-17 planes come across us. There were so many, almost black in the sky. Now, they were loaded with bombs, and we could almost see them turn them loose over there. And that's what they were bombing, where we was going to start out over there. And we stood there and prayed that they'd have that place tore all to pieces before we got there. But that didn't turn out either.
6 days into the invasion, Jim's group drove their tanks onto the beaches and into the countryside. But it wouldn't be easy.
Found out later they had some of their best men there waiting on us. And we had it rough, and we began to wonder from that whether we were going to ever get back home again.
Many didn't make it home, but he and his soldiers kept pushing through cold, sleepless nights, and sickness.
They told me, said, hey, if you got a temperature of 103, said, you're going to have to stay here tonight.
Jim recovered and returned to battle, but faced a different kind of adversity.
Me and my buddy stepped on a trip mine, set a landmine off. Shrapnel had went through both of my thighs, missed both.
That injury would put him back on a ship and heading for home when the word came that the war was over.
And they turned the lights on out all over the ship. You know, from the beginning of the war, all ships on the ocean had to be blacked out. And we was just having a celebration right then, you know.
Jim came home, made a full recovery, got married, and has enjoyed a full life. In 2019, he returned to Normandy on the 75th anniversary of D-Day, where he found himself on stage, right there in the blue coat, with President Trump and other D-Day survivors. He has a signed picture to commemorate that day. He saw cemeteries where the bodies of those who didn't make it home were laid to rest. And he walked the beaches that were full of the sights and sounds of war the last time he was there.
Now, it felt so good to stand there. I went down there with a guy that was a prisoner of war, that we had got together and made good buddies. Me and him walked down there to the beach right there at the water.
As the 80th anniversary approaches, Jim could never have imagined the life he would lead or the honors and accolades that so many have given him and other soldiers for their sacrifices.
Time is passing so fast to me, I never would have thought it. Never would have thought about it. But I just figured, gosh, after I get back home, I got forever to live.
A great example of service and sacrifice. In faith, I'm Brian Stevenson for QC Life.
Wow. Yeah. Take it in for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Jim still attends regular veterans meetings, and on his 101st birthday in November, the Carolina Panthers honored him and presented him with a jersey that has the number 101.
Take a look. His daughter said that as they were leaving the game, everyone called him 101. That is so cool. What a man. What a man. And what an example of this day, and oh my goodness, wow, what a story. Good job, Brian, really good job.
It's a beautiful story, and it's a gift to hear those stories, right? And as we know that we lose more and more of that generation, to hold to the stories to remind us just how very important they are.
That's right.